I always believed one person cannot make a difference. But I was dead wrong. And it took me 8 years to realize that I could make a difference.
I feel like if you smile while you're having this rough life, other kids will too.
Cystinosis don't stop. Neither will we.
My dream for the younger kids now growing up with cystinosis is that they don't have to blow out a candle and wish they didn't have cystinosis anymore. They can make a different wish.
When you look at me, what do you see? Do you see a kid? Do you see love? Do you see joy? Do you see a little bit of yourself in me? Or do you see a disease? Do you see fear? Do you see suffering? Look closer. The answer is all of the above. My name is Chandler, and I have a rare disease called cystinosis. I didn't choose this. It's all I've known my entire life. But I am not my disease. It does not define me.
When we decided to have children, we tried for a while. Took a while. I stressed about it, but then we got pregnant. And I was very excited, but it was scary because I was so high risk. My dad was very excited. He was gonna have his grandson.
Chandler was born via C-section, so it was scheduled. So we missed out on that, oh my God, your water broke, grab your bags, run to the car. We didn't get to experience that, but everything in my brain changed the minute he was born. And I started freaking out like, this is actually another human being that I have to satisfy, right, and make happy in this world.
So when I came home from the hospital, my dad went in for his biopsy and he had cancer. He only lived 7 weeks. That was hard. I wanted my dad to be so a part of Chandler's life.
Everything was normal, fine. He was growing, playing, happy. We were settling in.
I noticed things wasn't right with Chandler when he was probably 7 months. We would go into the kitchen, and for a baby to point to the faucet for water, something wasn't right. He would actually point to and want that more than his milk. And he threw up real bad. I mean, constantly threw up. Couldn't keep anything in. Doctor said it was acid reflux. We didn't know. We're like, okay, But things just started getting worse. Like he wouldn't eat. I couldn't get him to drink very well. Now, if I gave him a bottle of water, he would just drink it like crazy.
And I knew it wasn't normal. My wife knew it wasn't normal. And then, literally, like that, there's something major wrong.
So one day I went to the doctor. I said, something's not right. My sister just got diagnosed with diabetes, and she's like, maybe he's got diabetes. Go get him tested. So the doctor did blood work, and I'll never forget it. I was home by myself and my sister, and Chandler was sitting on the table, and she called me, and she said, you need to get him to the hospital right away. My heart dropped. I said, what's wrong? She said, I don't know, but his labs aren't normal. I've never seen it. And I cried. So I had to call Clint. I said, Clint, you gotta go home. We gotta go to the hospital right now. He's like, what's wrong? Labs came back. Blood work's not good. Doctor really can't explain it, but we have to get to the hospital. So he came right away.
Went through the ER. They looked at the papers and said, there's no way this is accurate. This is a faulty test. We're sorry. We'll redo the lab, but more than likely you came here for nothing. So she literally crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. They redid the lab draw, and I guess it was 2 hours later, she came back with a totally different look on her face and got the paper out of the trash. And she did one of these numbers on the edge of the counter where she was trying to flatten out the wrinkles. And she put them side by side, and she looked at me and she said, they're identical. And then she said, you're gonna be here a while.
She said, he shouldn't be awake. He should be unconscious. His labs are so bad.
So we got admitted, and then that's when, it almost feels like they come in and just try to rip your kid apart. I mean, they're drawing blood and they're doing this, they're poking him and this, that, and the other. You know, he's had enough after 5 minutes. I've had enough after 5 minutes, but it went on for 9 days. And in that 9 days, I honestly think we probably got 15 different diagnoses, which all turned out to be wrong.
That was the longest 9 days, I think, of my life. No more coming in and telling me what you think it may be. Come and tell me what you know it will be, because I can't do this. Finally, they called a nephrologist. I remember a day, she came up, she put her hands like this on the bed and just looked at him for a few minutes. She said, I know what he has. My heart sunk.
And she said, I'm pretty sure your son has cystinosis, but I have to prove it.
She said, I'm gonna send you to Philadelphia for some blood work. Takes 4 weeks to come back. And I said, what is cystinosis? She explained a little bit to me, but of course I looked it up on the computer. That was the biggest mistake of my life. I lost it that night in the hospital. I said, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my baby. It's gonna die.
2 weeks later, roughly, she called and said, it's definitely cystinosis. And she said, well, I'm gonna put this order in for this medication, give it to him 4 times a day. I'll see you in 2 weeks. So the medicine came, we gave it 4 times a day. We were giving it completely wrong. 4 times a day is accurate, but the 2 drugs that treat cystinosis are very time sensitive. And 4 times a day was supposed to have meant perfectly every 6 hours or around the clock. I was giving it to him 4 times a day while he was awake. I didn't realize it had to be given every 6 hours. So we were doing it wrong, and probably did for the first year of his life, or the first year of diagnosis, but we weren't told any different. You know, it almost just gives you this numb feeling for a while. You're overwhelmed. You got this perfectly healthy little boy that's now all of a sudden has a million problems. There's nothing perfect about his blood or his organs or nothing anymore. You look it up online and you read all these articles that pretty much tell you to hug him tight every night because you're not going to have him very long, and that's about it. The only way I can describe it is like, you know, cystinosis laid in the background for the longest time and watched, and then all of a sudden it jumps out and just like punches you and says, hey, I'm still here. Don't forget about me.
It got hard because we started blaming. Why did he get sick? What did we do wrong? Did we do something? Why us? I used to blame myself because I was sick. Did I do it? Sorry.
When you're a dad, there's nothing that comes across your lap that you can't fix until you're hit with cystinosis. And it's tough knowing that there's something suddenly that you can't erase, that something has finally defeated you.
His legs got real bad knock-kneed. Then he went bow-legged. So we had to get these braces that he had to wear at nighttime, and he couldn't move. That was the worst. They had to tighten him up every night, and he just lay there and couldn't move. So he's laying there with these big old braces, feeding tube out of his stomach, crying for water sometimes, and just laying there. It was real hard because I had insurance, but they dropped me. They dropped Chandler because he said that we had to try for SSI, so I tried for it. They denied me because the doctor didn't know what cystinosis was. So we had thousands of dollars coming in for medicines, and it put a real big strain on me. And Glenn, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay thousands of dollars a month for only so many medications? So we started selling things.
I almost think that minutes after birth, you start thinking about what could be, what your kid's going to accomplish, and I have had a lot of thoughts and ideas about where I would love for Chandler to go and for what I would love for him to do, but So when you get diagnosis, some of that does become a reality that it's not a possibility.
Cystinosis is a rare genetic disease that causes every organ in your body to fail in a way. Every day, take medicine 4 times a day, shots every day, doctor appointments every 3 months. A lot of cystinosis patients, they pick up 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning just to get a med or a shot. That can save them from going to the hospital the next day. We could be at school in a class and reporting tests. We can't stay and finish it. We have to go out, take our medicine, then come back. When your friends are around, you gotta go, come back. Most patients are in pain every day because of their shots. Sometimes a week because it hurts so bad, especially younger kids. You drink a lot of water. You can't go nowhere without water. If we're near you, you're drinking so much. And you have to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes if you drink a lot a day. It drains you mentally and physically sometimes.
A lot of people think that, my son taking I don't know an exact number, I'm gonna say probably 9 different medications. They think that all of them are treating cystinosis. They're not. There's only 2 drugs really that treat actual cystinosis. One is an oral drug and one is an ophthalmic solution. The oral drug, there's 2 different types, but there's no patient on both types. You're on either one or the other. So, but those are the only 2. So all of these other meds that he takes are typically supplemental stuff to put back what his kidneys, because he has kidney damage from cystinosis. So his kidneys it doesn't cycle back all of your nutrients like iron and bicarb and potassium and all that stuff. He just loses it all in urine. So you have to take all of these other medications to keep your overall health better.
I just really like to explain to kids my age or even younger that in order to be normal, you have to be able to take your meds. Even if you don't like it, even if you don't like the taste of them, you still just gotta take them.
You take all these pills, all these medications, and then they all have side effects, and then you deal with side effects. And oftentimes you have to take pills to get rid of side effects from that pill, and you don't have a choice. You have to take these drugs to sustain somewhat of a normal health ecosystem, and without it, you go downhill. May not be quick, but you're going to go downhill. So you either take it or you don't. You either deal with it or you don't. I just wish they would all deal with it.
Every morning, I think each of us wake up and make the decision to keep living by taking our medicine and by physically taking care of ourselves. That's our conscious way of saying, I'm here, I'm gonna stay here, this is my choice. I don't care what you throw at me, I'm gonna take these pills and I'm gonna do it tomorrow too. And I wanna keep living. I think we make those choices every single morning.
It's hard with the medicines, but there's other things that came later in life that were even harder that we had to force upon him. His kidneys were showing signs of something called hydronephrosis. And what that means is your kidneys make urine. Urine flows from your kidneys to your bladder. But if your bladder is solid full and can't hold any more liquid, or if there's a blockage or a million other things, you can get urine that backs up to your kidneys. And when you're already dealing with kidney issues and kidney failure, you don't want to accelerate kidney damage. And they said you have to get that urine out. You have to get it out and keep it out so that his bladder has the ability to re-strengthen and to shrink and get healthy again. And other than standing in front of a toilet, there's only one other way to get that urine out, and that's with a catheter. I actually put it off after I was told to do it. I put it off for 11 months, and I was kicking rocks, trying to find different answers. I found myself doing something that I oftentimes today tell people not to do, and a lot of people will get bad news from a doctor, and then they'll say, "Man, I'll get a second opinion." And then they get a second opinion, they get the same answer. And they're like, well, I'll get a third opinion. And then they'll get a third opinion and it's the same answer. But 15 opinions later, you'll get one doctor that tells you what you want to hear. It's not what's right, it's not what's actually going on, but that's the one that you stick with. That's the doctor that's right. I found that doctor. I had him give me a report, and I took it back to our doctor. I'm like, look, this guy says no. And then the original doctor said that doctor told you no, but 15 other doctors told you yes. And I'm like, yeah. And then the doctor said, well, what makes you think that one's right? And you got 15 telling you that that doctor's wrong. And that's when it hit me. I said, because that's the answer that I want. And I had to do it. For Chandler, it was absolutely horrific. It had to be done. That's what so many doctors had told me. It had to be done. But it didn't make it any easier. And the very next day, when we removed the catheter, my son asked me, he said, do we have to do that again? And I said, we do. We have to do it again tonight. And he went straight into like this depressed mode, you know. And that's the one thing that got to me. I called the doctor and I'm like, look, we have to come up with something else because this just cannot go on. And, you know, they blow it off as, oh, it's not that bad, it doesn't hurt. And I'm like, well, you know, you come tell my kid that it doesn't hurt. You know, when he's screaming bloody murder and he's pulling the blankets up off the bed, when you're trying to place this thing, you can't tell me it doesn't hurt. And she finally said, well, there is one other option, but it requires a major, major surgery. So we explained it to him, and he thought about it for a while, and he said, I want to do it. I want to have the surgery. So we did it. That surgery landed us as inpatient for 14 days. Normally, I don't think it would have been 14 days, but we had some complications afterwards. So 14 days later, we went home and were able to catheterize still to this day with no issues. Now it goes through his belly button. They created a port from his belly button straight into his bladder using his own appendix.
Chandler did this letter in 2012. They were doing a writing assignment at school. It means a lot to me because he's a very strong little boy to write this letter. Having cystinosis is hard. It involves a lot of pills and a lot of surgeries. You will have to get a kidney transplant. Also, you have crystals in your eyes, and you'll have to take eye drops to help. And yes, this stuff gets annoying, but I don't care as long as I'm still here. I will keep doing it. By Chandler. That means a lot to me. Makes me feel good that we're teaching him never to give up, because we don't give up, and I want him to keep fighting, because we won't always be here. And I want him to have that when we do go, that he's got to keep fighting. And I believe in my heart he's never going to give up for anything. I'm proud of him.
When you have a child, you instantly start thinking of the million things that you're going to teach them. I'm going to teach them how to go fishing, how to ride a bike, and this, that, and the other. When you get a kid with a rare disease, the tide turns, and they start teaching you stuff. And never once did I imagine that I was going to be the student here, and he was going to teach me what I was doing right and wrong in my life. But he's doing it. He's doing it every day. And I just wish I had learned these lessons long ago. But I guess I just needed him to show me. I'm sorry.
A lot of people with stenosis get depressed because they take medicine. They get bullied sometimes in school. But I feel like everybody who supports me, pumps me, and keeps me going. Just knowing that I have the friends I have, I think it like put me in a different mindset. Like when I'm going to get medicine, going to get shots, going to see the doctors even. I think going to school helps me feel like I'm not gonna get bored either because they have my back at all times. They're right next to me every day. We play together every day. We get closer every day. And that just helps me get through all the stuff.
When Clint and I first found out that Chandler had cystinosis, we didn't do anything for quite some time. We just took care of him, made sure he went to doctor's appointments, just to make sure he was cared for. For one, because we didn't know what it was very much, so we had to learn it. Over time, Clint got more into it. He read more and more into it. And I think it helped too. On Facebook, we joined a group, and I think that helped him see, okay, they're doing something. Maybe I need to. But he never did.
Where I was born and raised was literally all the way next door, and there's no freeway here, there's no city here. You know, I was never exposed to none of that, but once you're forced out of your comfort zone, which is here, and you have to get in a car and drive on roads you've never driven on, and you're white knuckle driving to the hospital. It was. I wasn't in a mental state to get involved. I had an Oreo cookie sized comfort zone, and I was not stepping off of it. So when he got diagnosed, it was easiest to go to the doctor, do what he was telling me to do, and come home. I knew there was advocacy groups out there. I got their newsletters in the mail, and I would flip through them when they came a couple times a year, and I was like, they're doing great, they're raising money, they're funding research, yeah, let them do it. But I wasn't ready to be involved. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. You know, the community's like, I heard your son's sick. I'm like, yeah, but he's doing great. You know, I just would cover it up. He's doing great, which he was doing great, but it was much more involved than they knew. But it took me 8 years to finally realize that I was wrong in my belief that a very firm belief that one person cannot make a difference. I always believed it takes millions of people to make a difference, and I was dead wrong. And it took me 8 years to realize that I could make a difference, even if it was just tiny. I had that ability. I just needed somebody to kind of kickstart me. And the CRN, the network that I'm part of now, was that person. And they just happened to host a fundraiser in DC at that time, about 8 years in. And we went, and I was that guy in the back of the room, you know, squatting down in his chair. I didn't want to be noticed. I didn't want to talk. I just wanted to learn a little bit and get the hell out, right? But you know, I met a lot of other families and parents, and watched a lot of other patients, and you know, I just realized that, you know, there was people out there that I could be talking to and learning from, and came home and, you know, was kind of really inspired and touched by the whole event. And since then, we've gotten more and more and more involved, from doing absolutely nothing to you know, hosting 5 consecutive huge fundraisers here in the backyard, hosting as many as just over 600 people, to traveling all over the U.S., speaking at different events, to actually being the president of the CRN today.
He is never, ever going to give up on this community. He will go to his grave making sure all these kids get what they need. And I believe that, not just my child, not Chandler, but every child with cystinosis he represents.
Cystinosis patients often deal with unpleasant smells, both in their breath and on their body. The cause of it is the medicine that they're taking to treat cystinosis, or to slow down the progression, is a sulfur-based medication, and oftentimes your breath smells bad, and you know, that results sometimes in other kids saying, you know, bullying, you stink, but it affects all of them, and it affects some worse than others. But there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, I've dealt with some bullying growing up, but like, I don't know, like back to that, it wasn't that bad as it could be. Either like calling me names, don't really remember what they were, but just calling me names just because I stank or whatever. You kind of just have to learn to either move on or just focus on something else. I
tell people all the time, they reach out to me and they're like, hey, what do I do about the odor? And first thing I say is, great job. Because if your kid smells like this, you're giving him his meds like you should be. So great job, first off. But if it's bothering you or if it's bothering him or her, then here are some products that I've been told help with that a little bit.
In high school, I used to always tell my mom, I don't feel like I'm a normal person. I have this illness. I have to take all this medicine. I have a smell. It doesn't feel like I'm a normal human being that lives an everyday life. So it was hard for me at first to accept that I am normal.
Living with cystinosis is very difficult at sometimes, but I'm the only one in my school, and a lot of people treat me like I'm different. It's like, oh, you have a rare disease, like, oh, your breath stinks, and I was like, oh, sorry. Like, teenagers are really mean, even little kids can be really mean at sometimes.
Cystinosis to me, it is a challenge for me and Josie and our family. But it's something that's brought us closer to so many people, and it's brought us closer together. It's made us all stronger. It's helped us develop more feelings. It's helped us have more acceptance into what's going on around us.
You know, if the Cystinosis Network wasn't here, I don't know where I would be. I remember that first diagnosis, and these women, one from Georgia, one from South Carolina, called me out of the blue. And then through tears, they were telling me, we are going to get you through this, and we are here for you. And we stayed on the phone that night for 3 hours straight. And through tears, it was just these incredible, beautiful women who took time out of their lives with their sick kids to just comfort a total stranger and to tell me that everything was going to be okay, that I was going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it was going to be a fight. I had to work really, really hard, and I had to start speaking up and being an advocate for my kid, but it was going to work. But Mama Bear had to come out, and I didn't even know what that meant until I got that call.
I'm 34 years old. I was diagnosed at 18 months. And at 18 months, my parents were told this girl's not gonna make it past 6 months, past a year. Every appointment, it was a surprise that I made it longer than I did. When I'm walking into a conference and I see the new kids, the new families, I feel overwhelmed with joy because it's the fact that they're gonna have a different support system than I did. And they're gonna be able to build relationships with each other in their own age group, and the families are gonna have people to lean on. It's just a great feeling to know that these people are gonna get the help that I didn't have. The communication with the families that I didn't have, that I now have.
On a day-to-day basis, we don't talk about cystinosis. There's nothing to talk about. It's just, did you take your medicine? You know, she's completely independent with that, and she's completely compliant, you know, but there are people who are like, well, I don't want to go to a conference because I don't want my kids to see how sick some people look. And I said, well, you can also use that to your advantage because many of the really sick people were not compliant. So this is what it looks like.
We all want each one of our kids to do better. So if I see this older kid or older teenager, young adult who's striving and doing good, that's inspiration for my child. And then my child, again, is inspiration for another child, you know, and so it's hope. It's hope for us.
My dream for the younger kids now growing up with cystinosis is that they don't have to blow out a candle and wish they didn't have cystinosis anymore. They can make a different wish.
How does a 14-year-old kid deal with a life or death? I mean,
really just ask what you have to do, and then take that mindset and don't ever stop what you have to do. Don't ever stop.
This is our norm. Do we have bad days? Absolutely. But we always turn to the good stuff. Yeah, we might get bad news, but here's going to be the good outcome of it. Like when Chandler quit swallowing his pills, I got nervous. What are we going to do? Well, we got a feeding tube. Now he gets his medicines. So there's always going to be something bad, but there's always going to be something good. You just got to get over that hill. It's always going to be like the rest of his life. And some days I feel like, am I ever going to get over this damn hill? And it's hard. But then we do, and then we get a bigger hill. Okay, we got over that, we're gonna get over this one. And we just take one day at a time. I don't really sit and worry about what tomorrow's gonna hold. Because if I do, I'm gonna go insane. I have to keep it strong and positive for him. We wake up normal, I expect normal things from him. I expect good grades. I don't expect, you're not using this as a crutch. Nobody uses it as a crutch.
When I look at a family like the Moore family, I am grateful for Chandler's ability, his support, and the trajectory of his success. He has all of the pieces that he needs right there in his house. He has Dad, who's the rock. He has Mom, who's the organizer, keeps it all together. And then you have Chandler, who is the advocate for himself. And I think that's huge.
School is very challenging, but when Chandler started school in kindergarten, we knew he got anxiety real bad. Cried every day for 2 weeks. I said, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? But then I got tough. I said, Chandler, gotta go to school. He finally got past it, and he loved school. Me and Clint are very hard on when it comes to school. Probably sometimes too hard, but we don't let the teachers give him any, breaks. I want him to be a strong young man because I'm not going to be here forever. I want him to be able to do what his dad does and go out there and fight for this community. I don't want him to use it as a crutch.
I don't know that I would have the ability to strive forward, hold my son accountable, with the condition that Chandler has, and keep pushing him, whereas the rest of society seems to say, how can I shield, my son or daughter from any of the adversities that life may throw their way? And let's face it, life throws a lot of adversity at all of us at any given time. With something like the condition that Chandler has on top of it, I would probably become that helicopter parent, and he's very blessed to have parents like he has that's not the case.
Most people would have no idea that there's anything wrong with that kid. Nothing. Kids look at him, kids sit with him at lunch, and they have no idea the maturity that he has versus what they have, because he's been through so much at a young age. Or even the emotions that Chandler carries inside, having been through all of these things. So when I look at Chandler, down the way in the lunchroom, there are times where you just stand there and you're like, man, I hope to see him walk across that stage 4 years from now.
Trying to raise awareness for cystinosis is very tough, and trying to paint a picture of exactly what Chandler goes through on a day-to-day is tough, mainly because it is so rare. But I got an inspiration from another documentary that I was watching, and I really wanted to do something more extreme to raise awareness and put myself through things that were physically and mentally challenging, similar to what Chandler goes through. And I decided to walk a non-stop 57 miles because 57 is quite common in cystinosis, because the most common cause is a 57 kb deletion. And also 5/7 is National Cystinosis Awareness Day. For this year, choosing to walk 57 miles at a school track, to me, seems ridiculous, but there's a reason and a thought process behind it, and the purpose is to show how repetitive cystinosis can be and how monotonous it can be. I know in my life and my son's life, it's a very repetitive. You have to make sure you give the same meds at the same time every single day all year long. There's no way that I can give myself cystinosis. It's not possible, right? So this is kind of a way that I can kind of feel the same effects and get a better understanding as to what I watch my son go through but can't physically feel. So I don't know how else to kind of mimic what he's going through. You start off the walk feeling great. You're pumped, you feel good, you have no pain. And then you start walking, and you don't notice it at first, but after 30, 40, 50 laps, you start to feel a little tired. A little ache and pain, a little muscle cramp or something. But It definitely plays into the same lifestyle as a cystinosis patient, where you can be as repetitive and compliant as you want, and never miss a dose, never be late on the dose, and you still slowly go downhill. Your overall health still goes downhill. You can't stop cystinosis. You can't stop most rare diseases. No matter what you do, you're still going to have irreversible effects. I worked all day, and then I go home and change shoes, and then I walk all night. It's kind of a routine. Kind of getting tired of walking a little bit, but 3 weeks away is the walk. But let me tell you something, in 90 miles, roughly, that I have clocked, 2 things I've discovered. People throw out a lot of trash, and nobody likes to move over when they see you walking. About a week and a half ago, Chandler started complaining of some leg pain right above his knee. And we just kind of blew it off, thought maybe he pulled a muscle or something, but eventually we got it x-rayed and did an MRI, and they discovered that his right femur was fractured. So he has a cast from his toes all the way up to his butt. And then tonight, getting out of he got out of the shower and was trying to head back into his room, and he fell pretty hard with his crutches, and he fractured his other femur. So now he's got a cast on both legs. He just got admitted into the hospital because they clearly got to figure out why his bones are breaking. It's clearly a bone health issue. It's 3 a.m. Haven't had dinner. I haven't slept. So this is part of it, I guess, but it's times like these where you just really don't feel strong anymore. You just kind of want to give up.
Yeah, when I recently broke my leg, I couldn't do anything by myself. I couldn't get water, I couldn't use the bathroom myself. I couldn't get nowhere around the house by myself. And my mom and my dad were the two that did everything for me, basically. And they were just mentally and physically drained every day because I did do everything for me. And then he wanted to cancel the walk, but I told him no, because I think if he did it this year, it would mean more to him that he went through me and the walk. That's basically what I thought of. And then I thought that all the people that see me break my legs would come out more because they've seen what cystinosis does to you, basically.
How do you keep that hope? How do you keep that positive energy in the family when you have defeating moments? How do you do that?
I don't know. If you give up your hope, then basically you've just fully given up. And I am very, very lucky to be dealing with cystinosis and not a lot of the other rare diseases that are out there. My son has FDA-approved therapies available. Almost all rare diseases don't, but we do. So that alone gives you hope. We actually have drugs that slow down the disease that basically buys you time. You don't know how much time, but I've often sat and thought myself and wondered, is he so happy because that's the way he chooses to be with the life that he's been given, or does it have something to do with the fact that he doesn't know any other life? He doesn't know any other way.
Stay still and keep breathing. Try and relax.
My grandfather used to always tell me, you know, you don't miss what you never had. And how can he miss a life without meds and doctors and needles because he's never known it? Am I just blessed to have a happy as hell kid, or has he chosen to be happy because of what he's been dealt? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. The fact that he's happy is really all that matters.
Sometimes I get scared when surgeries, major procedures, minor procedures, sometimes going in the hospital mostly because it sucks basically. I like to keep a smile on my face. I feel like if you don't stay positive about something, it'll never be positive again. I feel like if you smile while you're having this rough life, other kids will too. I want people to know my story because I feel like if you get your story out to other people, then they try harder to make themselves better because of what I've been through, and teach other people that don't know what cystinosis is, that can know what it does to you and what it is mentally and physically.
The past several weeks were horrible. So early morning, day before the walk, we had a follow-up appointment for x-rays at AI DuPont Hospital for Children up in Wilmington, and possibly get at least one of Chandler's casts removed.
I know he was depressed. Who wouldn't be depressed? He wouldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything, but barely go to school or go to school in a wheelchair. Got everything?
Yep.
Medicines? Yes. Water? Yes. Chandler, are you excited about getting your cast off?
Yeah.
I think you need to be careful when you first get them off because your legs are going to be weak. But it's finally going to be easier now.
Hallelujah.
If they come off, so then you can...
Just stuff myself.
Yeah, get your own water.
Get your own anything.
Your own chips.
Bathe your own self.
Yeah, I am so looking forward to him getting a shower.
Me too.
Me too.
And then it's back to school because your friends miss you, bud.
If you wake up in the middle of the night, Chandler, you're going to call me and root me on?
No, we're going to be sleeping.
I'll call you. I'll say, keep pushing, good luck, and then I'll just go back to sleep.
I don't sleep much while you're doing the walk.
Yeah, she doesn't. Last year, she was up all night, basically.
I don't sleep much either when I'm doing the walk.
You're so stupid. Good morning. So we're seeing we have x-rays at 10, and then Dr. Thacker, all that like at around the same time. And hopefully the casts stay off. Hoping. Well, they're both coming off no matter what, so we'll at least look at his legs for a little while. All right. Okay, love you. Yep, all right, bye. Aunt B said good luck, Jan. She said we gotta text her when we get done.
I'm excited to get my cast cut off.
How long have you been in these?
This one, 4 weeks, and this one, 3.
What's it like being in 2 casts?
It sucks. You can't do anything.
It was probably the most stressful year since Chandler's been born for me and Annie, just because of all of the fractures and the pain and the worries. He literally needed round-the-clock 24-hour care. How does x-ray look?
His x-rays look okay. His left side actually looks better than the right, which is a little unusual. Because the right side was the one that we saw first.
Mm-hmm.
But the left looks like it's pretty much healed. Nice and easy, but
The more I think about 57 miles, to me doesn't seem like that far. And going out to the track, it calculates out to 220 laps, which to me, again, doesn't sound like that much. But when you think about it in hours, 24 hours is probably about what it's going to take. That part starts draining on you mentally, even already tonight. I'm just thinking about tomorrow night. I don't sleep. I don't even sit down. But hopefully we'll make it, and hopefully my body will hold up. But it's a little bit scary, knowing the the mental challenges that I faced last year are about to return. So it's a little tough.
But why are you doing it?
It raises awareness. It raises funds. It tells a story. It shows that we're not going to stop. Cystinosis don't stop. Neither will we. So my community here is very supportive, always has been, and I think it shows the whole cystinosis community that I got them, and I will somehow, hopefully, finish. Hopefully.
You need to get some rest. I can see it's already getting in your head. Yeah. You need to get some rest.
Well, it's the morning of the walk. Slept pretty good, I guess. Just thought I'd take a little stroll. Gonna clear my head out a little bit. But today's gonna be tough. I'm a little worried about the overnight hours because supposed to rain, possible thunderstorms. Very similar to what we had last year, and I know last year it was challenging to get through those hours, but I feel pretty good. My knee's hurting a little bit from an injury from, I don't know, a little more than a year ago, but I think all those training miles really added up. But we'll get through it. We will get through it, but it's a nice day. So far, I'm just down here to one of my favorite little hangout spots. I like these two trees behind me. I don't know if you can see them, but one leans one way and one leans the other. It's one of my favorite spots. But I'm gonna head back and get a shower and go through my bag one more time, make sure I got everything I need, and get ready to head down. So when you see me again, I will be there. See you. One thing I want you all to think about today is in roughly 1 hour in New Hampshire, there's an event going on that should really change the perspective of why you're out here. A week and a half ago, the cystinosis community lost 2 patients. One of them receives her first funeral service today at 1 o'clock. She was 30 years old. 30 years old, guys, think about that. She fought like hell to beat this disease, and she lost at 30 years old. Think about it. Every step, I would like to walk a few laps for her and the other patient that passed away literally 2 days later. She lived in Brazil. Your success today isn't measured by whether or not you make it 57 miles. So judge your success off of every step.
Chandler means a lot. The Moore family means a lot. I got a tattoo, has the cystinosis green on it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. I love you.
The tattoo blew my mind. That he would go and put something on his arm to prove to Clint that he is all in this for our child means a lot. And Cody is a wonderful young man. I think Clint thinks of him more as a brother, maybe a son. You know, they're very close.
3 down, 225 to go. This community, my local community, has never really ceased to amaze me at how much they support Chandler and my family and how much they show up and how much they donate. It doesn't surprise me that they're here, but it means a lot because it makes it easier getting through a physical challenge like this where you have so many people rooting you on. Later on in the middle of the night, if I slow down, there'll be a lot of people here to kind of build me up and push me, just like the guy standing beside me, Cody. So it means a lot. It means a lot to me.
If it wasn't for Clint and Annie, who would know about this? It wasn't for Clint and Annie, nobody would even, they know Chandler's sick or whatever, but farther than just a family, it's way farther than that. So it starts out with great parents, and then you come down to Chandler, who's a great kid because he has great parents. And then you have great friends because Chandler's a great friend. Chandler's the most loving person you ever meet in your life, and he's got lots of friends. Like now, they're pushing him around the track just to make sure that he gets around. You see different friends that are pushing him around because everybody loves Chandler, from the coaches to Mark Calvert to whoever you want to mention. Everybody knows who Chandler Moore is, especially right here.
Chandler's like part of our family. So I've known him through scouts, and then I was a football coach, and Chandler was our water boy for 4 years on this football team and manager. He hardly ever missed a practice and wasn't allowed to play. But he would stretch with the team. He would run sprints with the team. He was a football player, if you ask any one of those players. Every year, we would always sit down, and I would try to do it when Chandler wasn't there, to have all those football players, those young men, realize, hey, it's August, it's hot, it's miserable. But you know what? There's one little boy that is dying for practice every night to come out here, and he doesn't get to step on that football field. He doesn't get to wear that helmet. He doesn't get to enjoy the things that you will, but he's dying to trade places with you. So when you're tired on that last sprint, we're running 100 yards and you're at the 60-yard line and you're tired, you think of Chandler, because he'd give anything in this world to saddle up and play next to you boys. And I'm telling you, 32 little kids between 10, 11, and 12 years old, we break that huddle after that little imagery speech, and there's nothing. They are full speed ahead the whole time. So he motivates other kids. They know what he's going through, and Clint's not going to need a motivation speech. He's going to walk and be just fine because he lives this every day. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk.
Clint Moore would do anything for anybody. He really would. He's that guy. He's genuine. What you see, what you get. He's not going to put on any show. He's not going to doll up to go somewhere to put he's just real. What he's doing is because he wants to do it, and the way he's doing it is the way he really is. If you put a camera on him, he's not going to stay here and tell you something that sounded good. He's going to tell you the way it really is. If you bet against the Moore family in this situation, you made the wrong bet, because they're going to conquer this, and they will persevere. I mean, I really believe that.
Chandler, he's just like a fighter completely all the time. He takes like close to 100 pills a day, and it's really tough for him. And I admire that a lot about him, and he's just really tough. And I couldn't imagine doing what he does.
If you can just imagine something in life that's hard to accomplish for anybody, it's probably even more challenging for somebody with a rare disease, because they don't always feel good, or they're running to the doctors. So when they do achieve it, they proved a lot of people wrong that said they couldn't, and two, they probably feel that much better about themselves because they proved people wrong. God, I wish I could tell you how many times Chandler's proven me wrong. Not that I want to say that I doubt his ability, but there's been times where I questioned it, and Chandler make a liar out of me every time. I want him to dream for himself. I want him to chase in life what he wants to chase. It sucks knowing that there are things already that he's kind of wanted to pursue but couldn't because of his disease.
I'm here today walking for my brother Clint and my sister-in-law Annie, and I'm here walking for Chandler. If I could take the disease from him for a day and not have to stop and get the eye drops or the medicine, be able to just participate like an average child, I would do that in a heartbeat, and I would love to see him be able to do that.
The outlook and the positivity that this family has, including Chandler, is just commendable. When you think about what this family endures every day, the uncertainty of the future, Chandler has done an excellent job at making sure that he's able to balance the two with all of his schoolwork and medications and that kind of thing that he needs to go through.
Well, it's just in this community, you won't know that other people have the disease, or other people are trying to raise awareness as well as you are. But not just other people, a huge group of people care about you, care about other people, care about your parents, caring about all the parents. It's a long line of just caring for each other, basically. And if that didn't exist, nobody would know basically what cystinosis even was.
Huh?
Heading home?
Yeah.
Getting tired?
Yeah.
don't blame you. You've been out here all day.
Yeah.
How many laps have you done today?
I have no clue.
How many laps have you walked?
0. Bye.
I love you, buddy.
Love you.
You promise you'll call me before you go to sleep?
Yep. Alright. Love you.
When my mom and I left to go home, I know she was worried about Dad.
Make sure you lock the door, all right?
Okay.
I know he would be okay because he had other people walking with him, but I was still worried about him.
A lot of people say, oh, it's incredible what you do for your son. Half of what I do is for my son. I also do a lot for the community because I love them all like they're my own. Half of them I don't even know. I've never met them, never talked to them, but I think I have a lot of things figured out, how they're feeling and how some of them struggle to express themselves, and I'd like to do it for them the best I can. This walk means, it means probably more to me than this community, but there's no guarantee that I'll finish tonight or tomorrow. I may have to tap at some point, but I know the community's rooting for me and I'm going to give it my all, but just being able to be out here, pulling for the community just means a lot.
Chandler is tough. I don't even know if I was going through it, I could be that strong, being that young, dealing with the disease and everything.
Tell me about the rain, buddy.
It's not gonna rain.
You should stop and look at your phone.
I don't want to.
I don't mean to sound like that guy.
Well, the sun will be up before we get done. And it'll be a new day and we'll be happy that we was successful. 100 to go. Woo! Woo! I don't have a whole lot of woo in me, but woo.
I got a second wind right now. When that changed, into 100, it psyche, gets better for you.
Rounding up to almost 67 left, buddy.
Hey, look, you see this? His doing the same thing yours is doing. What? Your camera's shaking a little bit.
Nope. That's the arm hold.
It don't matter if it rains or not, we're gonna keep right on walking.
That's how you feel, seriously.
I'm hurting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my feet are killing me.
So the rain affecting this? Is it changing the mood?
My socks haven't gotten wet yet, so no. Once my socks get wet, it's a wrap.
I told him I'd do night shift with him, and I'm gonna do it until I absolutely can't go no more. I mean, this kid is, battling something that he can't help, and you just gotta fight through the pain like he's doing. So if we have to walk and our feet hurt a little bit, it's nowhere near what he has to go through every day and the struggles he has to worry about.
We had a pretty heavy downpour in the middle of the night. I don't remember what time it was, but that was very uncomfortable. We are currently on lap 40, which equals 10 miles left. And we still have 5 walkers that have walked since the first step, which is incredible. Chandler does his meds at 7 a.m. It's his first dose of the day. And as soon as they get that done, this morning they're gonna come on over and help us get through the last few laps, however many is remaining when they get here. He did call me last night right before he went to sleep and wished me luck and told me he loved me and he was thinking of me, which meant a lot.
My feet are killing me. My socks and shoes are wet. I'm already in a bad mood as soon as my socks get wet. But it could always be worse.
Woo! That number's getting real small, boys. Real small. Clint, you're in the teens.
I got you.
You can do this, right?
Or fall out and Rodney will drag me the rest of the way.
You know, when I walked by the stands 228 times and I looked up there and saw they were empty, that's normal for rare disease. It's extremely tough to raise awareness and funds and gain support for a rare disease, especially one that affects one person in the state you live in. Fatherhood has been just the most wonderful thing ever. I wouldn't change it for the world.
It gives me goosebumps thinking about how many people are here to support us. Not just Chandler, but the whole community.
You don't really think about the end or how much longer he has. You just keep going, you know, day to day, and do what's needed in the moment. You'll deal with tomorrow.
This is all for you.
Being a dad changed me in so many ways. It made me look at life in general so much different.
So proud, very proud, because that's a big achievement. And he didn't stop and did it in 22 hours. That's a lot.
You know, I've attended many conferences in the past, and you know, there's been several where I have seen a patient have to leave by ambulance or by parent, take to the ER for a multitude of reasons. But you never think it's going to be you. But at the last conference in July, at the dinner dance, Chandler finally gave up. He had been in a lot of pain for several weeks. We have ran through x-rays and ortho doctors and couldn't find anything wrong. And then finally at the dinner dance, he gave up, said, I'm going to bed.
I get a phone call. Mom, I think I can't move my leg. My heart dropped.
And while he was laying in bed, he totally fractured his femur. So I grabbed one of our doctors, ran up, got him checked out, and she's like, yeah, it's broke. You got to go to the ER.
It was something I would never forget. He was screaming. The paramedics came and they tried to take him, and they couldn't even give him medicine because they didn't have it. So we only had Tylenol. So when they moved him, he would scream and shake and beg, Mommy, please don't, Mom, please don't let him do it. But I had to get him on the stretcher. The ambulance ride, me and Clint are holding both of the leg, trying to keep it still. We would hit a bump, he would scream. You know, Chandler doesn't curse, but he said a choice word that I never want him to say. But again, I understood because the pain was so bad for him. It was awful, awful.
Where we got quickly admitted and x-rayed and said, yep, you need surgery, we'll do it first thing tomorrow. Where he ended up staying for, I think it was 3 days admitted. 2019 has probably been the worst year in my opinion, of Chandler's life. I think he'd agree. It was just bump after bump after bump from April 2019 through probably roughly January of 2020. Absolutely sucked. Maybe a week or so ago, Chandler came out of his bedroom, as he does a million times, and suddenly he stopped right in front of me and he looks at me and he's like, I just thought of something. And I said, what's that? And he says, I haven't had any pain in my legs in quite a while. To hear that come out of his mouth was just probably the absolute best thing that he could have said to me. Yesterday, actually, we went for a multitude of appointments at our local children's hospital, and he got absolutely perfect, near perfect results. Labs were great. The ortho doctor was quite pleased with x-rays and his progress. Nephrology was just, you know, whatever you're doing, continue doing it because everything looks great. So, you know, it's odd when you go, you know, and you struggle through nearly an entire year of 2019 of constant fractures and breaks and pain and worry to actually an unexplainable, his health just got better. and continues to get better. Up until yesterday, we got all those results where it was just good news after good news after good news. It's been nice having him in this phase where it's just kind of boring again. I love the boring days in this disease because that means there's no complications, there's no problems, there's less worries. But it's been nice having him back to this state.
He's healthy. He can play basketball. He can run. That was the biggest blessing I think I got that day, because it's been a rough year worrying about a child. Can he even walk to go to his grandmother's house because he could trip and break his leg? It was really, really hard. But now he's good. It's great.
I'm finally glad. I'm glad that my legs are finally better, so I can get here and do all this and play basketball and ride the golf cart that I couldn't do when I had 2 broken bones in a wheelchair in the house all day for like almost 2 months.
How was that though, being trapped in that house?
It sucked. I mean, all you could do is just sit at your desk, lay in your bed, just on your phone. You couldn't really go to friends' houses or go to school and see your friends. You had to make your house your life for like 2 months.
So does it ever get overwhelming when, you miss any extended length of time from school?
Yeah, sometimes it can get very overwhelming, just knowing that you haven't been in a while and you don't know what work you're missing, what work you didn't do, stuff like that.
You always do a good job keeping caught up, though.
Yeah.
And the teachers work with you a lot.
Yeah, they were pretty well, yeah.
That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot easier.
A lot less stressful.
With him missing school or with his disability, I didn't realize how much school he would miss. He was out for probably over a month. Chandler did all his work. He made all his work up. The kids definitely miss him when he's gone, and when he's here, he's just so positive and he just goes with the flow, and he does advocate for himself, which I do like. As far as Chandler's parents go, they're just positive people. Whatever's gonna be thrown at them, they're gonna handle it, and they're gonna handle it as a family. Like with Chandler, they've really done a good job with him.
You find any words you didn't know? Are you serious?
What? So the first time that I met Chandler was in his 504 meeting before we started the school year, and when asked what the health concerns were by our administration and our team, Chandler's mom looked at Chandler and said, "Hey, you go ahead, you tell him what's up." And Chandler stood up and in a very mature and eloquent way explained to us exactly what his illness was, exactly what he does to treat it, and exactly how he planned to handle himself in attendance here at high school. You could just tell that they weren't planning to baby Chandler, that Chandler was there to live as normal an existence in this high school environment as was humanly possible. And Chandler, I feel, successfully does that. He, is in charge of his own medications. He comes when he's supposed to. He takes care of himself, and his family is super supportive of that.
So when I first started taking medicine at school, it was a little hard trying to figure out if I miss any work when I leave, and then come back, I had to make it up before I leave that class. And then now I just come and I just do what I gotta do, really, make it work.
From day one, we just grabbed him and we went and did what we wanted to do, and we found ways to work around what challenges cystinosis brought. And I think he absorbed it well because he continues to do that. He doesn't let cystinosis stop him. If he wants to go, he goes. Quality of life is really what you make of it. Depending on what you're facing and how you deal with it, it varies from person to person. But there's been times where he had to sit down and really not have much of a quality of life, but it was temporary. And we got him through it. And he showed signs of depression at times, and he would tear up and he would get frustrated and mad, but I would too.
We never looked at each other and said, what are we going to do today? He would always look at me and say things like, well, what are we going to force cystinosis to do with us today? Things like that. And I kind of started it with him. I said, what are we going to drag cystinosis through today? You have to make preparations. You have to take meds and water and all that shit with you, but that was kind of something that I kind of pounded into him, that he can do whatever he wants to do, and cystinosis can tag along or we'll drag it. So I think he chose to drag it, I believe. he doesn't let it define him or slow him down.
You wanna play? You can go last.
When y'all lose, don't cry.
I never cried before.
How did you make the first round both of us then?
I think the most important thing that we've done is we've raised a young man, a respectful, honorable young man, and cystinosis or not, that was still number one.
Yeah.
We're not raising a disease, we're raising a human, and it was our responsibility to make sure that he turned out to be a good one. I think we did okay.
I think we did good.
You're way off. Now I'm gonna do the backward shot.
Oh my God! That thing like net.
It's medicine time.
How many times you say that a day?
6 times a day.
So right now I'm about to take all the medicines to my G tube or feeding tube, whichever one you want to call it, and then I'm gonna take my eye drops and then I'll probably go back outside. It just shows you like when you're having fun as a patient, you always gotta stop what you're doing to do this. I probably started around 2 years ago doing my own medicine and mixing it up in eye drops in class and stuff like that. When I was younger, my mom and dad would get the medicines out, get the medicines ready, and then actually help me take them. Now it's just all me, start to finish. It makes you feel like you're actually making a part in your disease, I guess you could say now. I take a lot of medications every single day. I get new medications probably every month or so, depending on how my kidneys are. But it gets annoying sometimes. But like, I know if I don't do it or anybody else doesn't do it with cystinosis, they'll be sick in a couple days in the hospital waiting for a kidney transplant like that. I take these eye drops every hour just to make sure not too many crystals are accumulating to make me go possibly blind in the future. Just another reason why I gotta keep pushing.
Right now, I would say my biggest fear or worry is the upcoming transplant. It's not scheduled or it's not needed at the moment, but it's likely to happen maybe later this year or next year.
So what does that kidney transplant mean to you?
The kidney transplant, it means a lot to me because it's just gonna make me into a whole different person. It's gonna make me feel so much better. All these medications will be not shortened, but there'll be less of them now. I'll look better. It's gonna be a whole new me, and then like these kidneys won't be affecting me as hard as they are right now. So it's gonna be a whole different lifestyle for me, a better lifestyle for me.
I'm not scared. Chandler's not scared. I'm actually very excited to see how different he's going to be. He drinks so much, he uses the restroom so much. I want to see how he's going to feel. Is he going to feel different? Is he going to feel better? I hear different ways. So I'm kind of looking forward to the adventure with Chandler, and I'm not scared. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, there are risks with the kidney transplant, but the reward after is just so much bigger than the risk. You can't really think of how long you're going to be here. You can't even focus on the week after, or the week, or the month after, the year after. Every day is a new day. You got to focus on that day, no matter what happens. Like another day, new surgery, focus on the surgery. Next day, new medications, focus on medications. Next day, physical therapy, focus on that. Just focus day by day and thing by thing. Don't just focus on the long term stuff that's far away. It'll all work out once it gets there.
All these years, thousands of decisions have had to be made, and I've always struggled to wonder if I have made the right ones. And I'd be willing to bet there was some that I made the wrong decision, but they were the best of my ability at that time. So I just want Chandler to know that, if I have made some wrong decisions, which I'm sure I have, I just want him to know I did my best, and I'm sorry for all this. Cystinosis is something that he has. It doesn't have him. It never has. And
nope.
I don't think it ever will, to be honest. He's a hell of a lot stronger than I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely try to fight just to be here. yeah, you're fighting really hard to, live every single day, but if you keep pushing your mind to go with your body, you'll make it through every day, every hour, every minute. Well, the film crew's gone, so no cameras, but my story isn't over. My end isn't written. I want to leave you with one thought. Imagine a world where no one with a rare disease ever felt hopeless or ever felt alone.
Well, I'd walk through the day if that's what it takes. I would carry the burden, I'd take your place. I'd weather the storm, I'd run through the night. I'll always be with you, we'll fight this fight. Yeah, this life that you're living, it's not what we dreamed. And it's not what you asked for, how it should be. You respond with a smile, you're stronger than me. Your strength beyond measure, you're who I should be. We travel together, never alone, side by side till this thing's gone. We made a promise the day you were born, and that's a promise we'll keep. My job to protect you, keep you from fear. Consume my existence as I held you near. You taught me to honor the man you will be. You opened my eyes to the things that you see. We travel together, never alone, side by side till this thing's gone. We made a promise the day you were born, and that's a promise we'll keep. That's a promise we'll keep. That's a promise